name is Maxim Begrove. I'm the Assistant Director of Forensics with California State University, Fullerton. And I'm going to start introducing these debaters one by one. So we'll start with Dan.
My name is Daniel. I am a political science major, and this is my first semester on the team.
Eileen.
My name is Eileen. I'm a comm studies major, and this is my first semester on the team as well.
Hannah.
I'm Hannah. I'm a HComm major, and this is my first semester on the team.
Sam.
My name is Sam. I'm a journalism major, and this is my first semester on the team as well.
Jen.
Hello, I'm Jennifer. I'm an HComm major. This is my second and last semester on the team.
Evan.
Hey, I'm Evan. I am an economics major, and this is my second semester here.
Then Roman.
Hello, everybody. My name is Roman. I am an alumni of the program and now a volunteer helping with the speech debate team.
All right, right on. So we're going to start with this debate. As we go through the debate, I'll kind of intervene, and Roman will also intervene and kind of explain what's going on. So you'll kind of see how the format breaks down. We'll start.
We affirm that technology is harmful for the education of children. And we define educational technology as digital technology used to facilitate learning, and that comes from Oxford Dictionary. To begin, constant exposure to digital technology leads to trouble focusing. This is because digital technology provides unnecessary distractions and opportunities to ineffectively multitask. Sana 13. In classroom environments, students tend to switch back and forth between academic and non-academic tasks. This multitasking can result in weaker encoding of primary information into long-term memory. Studies suggest that students who use laptops in class report low satisfaction with their education, are more likely to multitask in class, and are more distracted. Student self-reports and classroom observations suggest that laptops are being used for non-academic purposes, such as instant messaging and playing games, checking email and watching movies, and browsing the internet. Access to online entertainment makes it increasingly difficult for instructors to be more interesting than YouTube, especially if students aren't intrinsically motivated by the subject materials. Second, studies show that when using technology, critical and social skills decline. This is because the development of creativity, analysis, and communication are developing at a much slower pace. Technology has not only taken away from the original form of learning, but is also causing delay in the development of key skills. Wolpert Stewart, 2019. Technology has played a bigger role in our lives, and our skills in critical thinking and analysis have declined. Reading for pleasure, which has declined among young people in recent decades, enhances thinking and engages the imagination in a way that visual media such as video games and television do not. Most visual media are real-time media that do not allow time for reflection, analysis, or imagination. Among the studies Greenfield analyzed was a classroom study showing that students who were given access to the internet during class were encouraged to use it during lectures and did not process what the speaker said, as well as students who did not have internet access. When students were tested after class lectures, those who did not have internet access performed better than those who did. Wiring classrooms for internet access does not enhance learning. Green-Wright, 2016. One reason for this is that human-to-human interaction and human-computer interaction appear to be substantially different. Real-world interaction engages more of the senses, which is important for young children. Social relationships in the digital realm also appear to be less intimate and more easily severed. That machines are not adept at tasks that require skills such as creativity, curiosity, leadership, and negotiation. Third, there's unequal access to technology, which causes an educational gap. Because of the educational gap, some children are left behind. The recent pandemic highlights resource gaps among communities. Kamenetz 20. A national poll of young people ages 13 to 17 suggests that distance learning has been far from a universal substitute. There are resource gaps. School districts have purchased and started loaning out hundreds of thousands of laptops and tablets and worked with telecom providers to get families set up with the internet. But the need is large. Before the pandemic, it was estimated that 12 million students had no broadband access at home. There's a big gap between public and private school students in this survey, with 47% of public school students saying that they have not attended class compared to just 18% of private school students. 4 to 5 teens say that they're following news about coronavirus pandemic closely. The vast majority of the kids, they're going through their own levels of stress. African American and Hispanic Latino teens were significantly more likely than white teens to report about being worried. Research done in past disasters suggests that it's teenagers who are most at risk when school is interrupted. Many are forced to work to earn more money or to have to stay home and take care of younger siblings. They are more likely to drop out and less likely to go into college. Something should have been done about the digital divide years ago. ROM 16. More than 21 million Americans do not have access to high-speed internet. Not all students are able to sign on to the internet in the first place. Nearly 1 in 5 students between kindergarten and 12th grade do not have computers or speedy web connections. And this disproportionately plagues low-income families and people of color. The digital divide has long been a serious concern. Half lack a dedicated device to do their work in the first place. You had people who had been screaming for years to carry us to do something. It shouldn't take a pandemic. Number 4, technology has negative health effects. This is because technology exposes children to harmful radiation and causes them to be stationary for long periods of time, both of which have led to various health problems. Exposure to wireless technologies is associated with many adverse biological effects. It result in diminished capacity to grow and develop normal neurologic, immune, and metabolic functions, and result in serious health and learning impairments and chronic disease. Disruption of neural synchrony by RFR exposure may be the key factor in disrupted memory and learning. Altered brainwave activity may interfere with memory formation and impair sleep, which is fundamental to memory retention. Sedentary lifestyle promoted by technology leads to various health problems. Important contextual factors to consider in relation to sedentary behavior are the increasing reliance on screens for everyday tasks. Large amounts of screen use can now begin in early childhood. High levels of sitting time are associated with premature mortality and cardiometabolic chronic disease incidence, including increased risk for developing type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and colorectal, endometrial, and lung cancer. Determine aspects of metabolic health, lower back pain, mental health, and cognitive function. Solvency. Educational learning and development are not a one-size-fits-all approach. There needs to be a more tailored approach and structured to individual needs that produce beneficial outcomes. Given the multifaceted nature of technology, it is perhaps unsurprising that the story of its impact on child development is extremely complex and multi-sided. Some forms of technology have no effect on the form of behavior that they are designed to transform, while others have effects that are far beyond their intended outcomes. All this is indicative of the fact that it is still emerging. In technology, we have a set of tools that have the capability to drastically modify human behavior. What remains is to determine how purposefully direct this capability is to develop desired outcomes. It would likely be of substantial benefit to describe forms of technology quantitatively in terms of the neural processing they demand, rather than to describe them qualitatively based on surface characteristics. Starting with a tool that strongly promotes learning and determining how and why it works, rather than starting with the low-level principles of neural learning and providing and building tools that may or may not produce the desired outcomes. There needs to be more action game training for educational purposes. Rottweiler, 2010. Action video game training is of substantial theoretical interest because of the improvements in performance that occur as a result of training also transfer to tasks beyond the training regimen itself. Playing in an action game results in behavioral changes in non-gaming environments. This activity teaches the player how to swiftly adapt to current task demands. Action game players may dynamically retune connectivity across and within different brain areas to augment information processing, and may thus be in a position to make more informed decisions. Action video game experience would promote an essential feature of human cognition, learning to learn.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. So as we can see, this is a little bit of a modified version of a policy debate speech, also a modified version of a debate in general. But we can see that the plan or the resolution that Daniel articulated was the affirmation that technology is harmful for the educational development of children. So the first affirmative speech sets up the argument and follows kind of the Toolman model in terms of argument development. So claim is presented, right? Then a warrant is presented, and then the evidence itself is presented. And as the argument develops, we're going to see the other speeches begin to kind of take apart the proposal that Dan has articulated. So the next speech is going to be the first negative constructed by Eileen.
Technology is not harmful for the educational development of children. We will refute the affirmative by first arguing that technology helps attention and focus. Integration of technology into the classroom makes educational content more interesting and engaging for students. Tech helps children with ADHD. Steckelberg, 2002, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, is a condition that describes children and adolescents who display significant difficulties with inattention, impulse control, and overactive behaviors. ADHD affects between 3 to 5% of the school-age population. ADHD represents significant challenges to educators and has been the focus of considerable effort to develop instructional and treatment strategies. The use of technology as an educational tool offers new options for the expansion and development of these strategies. Video games improve attention and focus. Changes in brain activity and increased performance on tests of visual selective activity in subjects who had spent 1 hour playing the League of Legends video game. The expert gamers had more brain activity associated with attention than the non-experts. Next, we will review that critical thinking and social skills do not decline. Technology stimulates student learning and enhances a variety of skills. By Markizak Lindsay. Interactive activities can stimulate student interest and improve academic achievement. Research confirms that students are better able to grasp complex concepts when key information and tasks are explained using a wide array of modalities: verbal, visual, graphical, and symbolic, and instructional formats, videos, lectures, graphic displays, and audio files and simulation. Digital learning environments foster critical thinking and increase the accessibility of content by offering learners more options for applying knowledge and skills. Self-regulated learning helps support critical thinking and transfer of knowledge. These experiences help foster critical thinking by transferring knowledge from short-term memory to long-term memory, an essential process that helps learners remember and apply information to new settings. Technology has helped improve communication skills so well that it can improve eligibility in professional environments in the future. By Dispatch, technology has the ability to enhance daily living from appliances to mobile devices and computers. Technology is everywhere. In the rise of digital communication, technology can actually help communication skills because it allows people to learn written communication to varying audiences. It is a skill to learn different types of technology, and it is a skill that is often highly regarded as something that makes someone stand out as an asset if they are able to quickly learn and utilize technological systems. It's not just the application of technology anymore that companies search for, it's also knowing how to use it to communicate. Digital communication have actually helped people with their communication skills and learning how to create messages that are understood in so many characters or less. It's important that digital communication is a widely learned skill, basic skills within an area of emphasis that can only be enhanced through the use of technology. Next, technology bridges the gap for some students. Examples such as sick kids having to learn online. Online schools are also being offered for kids who have trouble in school, teaching them ways that help them learn. The definition of access is the opportunity or right to use something to see or somebody. The affirmative ignores instances where technology has allowed the administrators to implement changes on their behalf. Students' access to physical technology cannot be accounted for if there is absenteeism. Poor educational outcomes are only a symptom of a larger problem. Tech is key for equal access to improved education outcomes. School districts utilize technology to better educational outcomes for all students, regardless of direct access to technology. Wong 16. School districts find more tools and technology available than ever before, offering greater insights that can be leveraged to improve performance in other benchmarks. Such tools allow them to spot students who score lower in assessments repeatedly miss school. Principals and teachers can intervene sooner and take action for those becoming larger issues. It enables us to take data and mesh it together. That improves our ability to know more about our students and be provocative in responding to issues that we otherwise might not see. Not only to help educators bolster student academic performance, but to also allow district leaders to improve operations and administrative decisions. Spokane Wash Public Schools can more readily identify at-risk students and have improved graduation rates. In 3 years, the district graduation rate has risen nearly 8%. It's definitely a key part for overall success. Next, technology does not negatively affect health of all children. Technology protects from sickness and enables children to lead a more healthy and active lifestyle than without tech.
All right, so before Roman breaks down what's been happening with the affirmative and the negative, we'll have a 3-minute examination or cross-examination period. So any of the teams can jump in at this point. It's kind of open for y'all.
Can you define access again?
Yeah, we would define access as the opportunity or right to use something or to see somebody or some things.
Who gets these opportunities?
Anyone has the opportunity.
Do they though?
We're going to argue, yes, these children would have the opportunity to have access to not only the means of what the technology seeks to accomplish, but also the benefits of it.
Okay, but I don't think that it's a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. There are different children, and it needs to be tailored to their needs.
Right, which
That's why we need technology, because technology helps bridge those gaps and creates new different opportunities for different needs.
How?
I have a question for the affirmative. I was just wondering, like, how long are kids in school and like in class?
That depends on the situation,
Like a
but
day.
well, some kids will be in school from 8 to 3 and then attend after school programs until like 9 o'clock p.m.
Cool. And like, what do they do? What does it look like in the classroom? Are they standing, or like, what do they do at their desks?
I don't have access to that information.
Okay, I think they sit at their desks.
But yeah, it's just like
Depends
you
on the
think.
class. Like we said, it's not a one,
speculating, right?
like we said earlier, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, which is the benefit of having students who come into school. Depending on the class that you're in, you may be sitting down, you may be standing. If you've ever taken gym, you're definitely not sitting a lot of the time there. So like you said, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, which is why it's better to have physical in face-to-face school rather than all digital.
But what was your question?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, my question was just,
Hannah.
how long do kids sit at school? Like, do you have an estimate?
Was that leading anywhere?
Yeah, in my next speech, it's definitely going to come up.
All right,
Okay,
so
yeah.
thank you, Roman. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, anyway, so there's not a whole lot to add on top of what Max sort of overviewed for the first speech, because the speech is very similar. This 1NC or first negative speech, however you look at it, is going to be very similar to a lot of first negative speeches you see in a myriad of different debate forums, right? What you see is a team who is not only negating the position that technology is harmful, but taking the position that technology is beneficial or positive towards overall development of children and education and a variety of things. And although what you don't see a lot of clash. That's okay in the speech, right? Because what you see is sort of like a setup of a lot of mirror or reflection of a lot of affirmative points, right? Which will provide the foundation for like really good, potentially clash or really strong argumentation later on, hopefully in the coming speeches. And you saw some of that in the cross-section. Hopefully we'll see that develop a little more in the future speeches.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much. So the next speech is going to be the first negative rebuttal by Hannah. Here we go.
Okie dokie. So the first contention about attention and focus is where I'll start. The AF claims that constant exposure to tech leads to trouble focusing. However, the NAEC provided sources that says it actually helps improve focus and attention through making educational content more interesting and engaging for students. So instead of fighting over who has better sources, like, let's just take a moment to think about this with some common sense. Imagine you're trying to get a group of 25 8-year-olds to pay attention to you for 1 hour. And within that hour, you're trying to get them to understand a new concept. According to Summit Medical Group, an 8-year-old should be able to focus for about 16 to 24 minutes. What do you think would be more realistic? Standing in front of them talking, using only your voice to get them engaged and understand the lesson you're trying to teach them? Or having the aid of technology, which enables you to use pictures and graphics to help you get your point across. Just imagining yourself in this scenario proves how helpful technology is for education. I agree with the AF that giving kids internet access while in class is not beneficial, and I also agree that giving them laptops to take notes on it is not helpful to them. However, that does not mean that all technology is bad for educational development. The NAEC believes it is a very helpful tool for teachers to help children stay focused and engaged when learning something new. And this has been proven by a source that explains how tech is helpful for kids with ADHD, who are children with an especially difficult time focusing. Second, moving on to the critical thinking and social skills, the resolution claims that technology is harmful for the educational development of children, but we must realize that being educated in technology is crucial for children to develop into professionals. Employers look for people who are well-versed in technology, and they not only want people to know how to use it, but also know how to use it to communicate. If we don't introduce technology to kids until after they graduate, they will not be hireable. It has become a fundamental skill that we cannot neglect to equip our children with. The AF is worried about how tech affects the development of key skills, but fails to recognize that tech itself is a key skill that children must develop. Number 3, moving on to the education gap. First of all, the AF can't solve for the digital divide. In times of pandemic, the alternatives to using tech puts the AF in a double bind. You could either make kids go to school and increase their risk of spreading disease, getting sick, and possibly dying, or you could not have school at all and therefore totally stopping the educational development of all children. The AF is worried about some children getting left behind, but fail to realize that tech enables certain children to get an education who would otherwise be unable. Children fighting cancer or other life-threatening diseases aren't able to go to a brick and mortar school and have to learn online via tech. Other kids with learning disabilities can get an education tailored to their needs through an online school that they otherwise couldn't get. Not everyone benefits from the learning style that brick and mortar schools have, so if the AF really wants to make sure that no child gets left behind, they would endorse tech. And finally, technology's effect on health. Number 4, the AF doesn't solve for the problems of sedentary lifestyle. Children spend 8 hours a day sitting at a desk in school, and they aren't allowed to get up in the middle of a lesson. Tech actually gives students the ability to pause their lesson to stretch or go outside and get fresh air. With or without technology, children need to be encouraged to be active no matter what. An active lifestyle is something to promote regardless of technology. Further, when not forced to be at school for 8 hours and given the option of doing school online on their own schedule, an even more active lifestyle can be achieved. The greatest athletes of our next generation heavily rely on technology for their education. The AF also doesn't solve for radiation. It is impossible to escape it. Even if children are not using tech, there is still Wi-Fi in every school, and there are thousands of cell towers in the US. It is literally inescapable, so the AF can't solve for the health risks of radiation. In conclusion, to quote the AF and what they've been saying, educational learning and development aren't a one-size-fits-all approach. Technology is beneficial and sometimes crucial for children, and therefore the resolution that technology is harmful for the educational development of children cannot be upheld.
All right, so that was the first negative rebuttal by Hannah. I think what Hannah does really well there is exemplifies the impact analysis or the comparison of the bad things of the affirmative and the bad things of the negative. So when an affirmative presents a plan, they're obviously trying to overcome some bad thing that is currently happening today or in the status quo. So what the negative does is try to present issues with their resolution or issues with trying to solve that problem, or potentially provides a counter solution. So as we're going to see with the first affirmative rebuttal, we are probably going to see some responses to Hannah's arguments by Sam. Here we go.